You guys all good? Steve, you good?
Right.
You guys all good? Mr. Freeze, are you good? Define good. I'd like to call to order the Miamisburg City Schools Thursday, September. I wish it was September. February 17th, 2022 school board meeting. May I have you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is roll call. Mr. Epsby?
Mr. Amsler,
Here.
Mr. Daffler,
Here.
Mr. Lewis,
Here.
Mrs. Neese,
Here.
Mr. Toadvine.
Here.
Dr. Blessing,
Present.
I am here. Mr. Homan. Here.
Next on the agenda is a motion for tonight's adoption of the agenda. May I have a motion, please?
I'll move for the adoption of agenda February 17th, 2022.
Motion by Mr. Lewis,
Pass. Second.
seconded by Mr. Toadvine. Any questions or comments about tonight's agenda? Hearing none, may I have a roll call?
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is approval of minutes. Approval of minutes for the regular board meeting held on January 20th, 2022, and the special board work sessions that were held on February 2nd and February 15th of 2022. May I have a motion for those approved minutes?
I move to approve the minutes for the regular board meeting held on January 20th, 2022, and the special board meeting work sessions held on February 2nd, 2022, and February 15th, 2022.
Motion by Mrs. Neese,
I second.
seconded by Mr. Daffler. Any questions or comments in regards to those meetings? Hearing none, may I have a roll call?
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is approval of the financial report, January 31st, 2022. May I have a motion for the approval of the financial report dated January 31st, 2022?
I move to approve the financial report for January 31st, 2022.
Motion by Mr. Daffler
Second.
and seconded by Mr. Lewis. Mr. Epsby.
Yeah, I'd like to just take some time to go over the dashboard report. That is the first one that is in the financial report. This is actually, Kelly, that's, yeah, a little bit. It's okay. If you go back to the agenda and go ahead and click the down, there should be a download. If you scroll to on the right a little bit, scroll down. You might not be able to see it. Good.
Go over to the other part. Yeah.
All the way to the right.
There you go.
Good job. You got it.
So the first report is really a bookend report that talks about just the financial health of the district from the beginning of the year through January. You'll see in the next page that it looks at the annual compared to forecast variance. It's okay. It's a lot of pages, sorry. So really what we're doing here is what you see modeled with the graph is how we are spending our cash balance. So you see as revenue comes in and expenditures go out, the cash balance and how it's affected. That's going to come into play a little bit later when I talk about my my financial analysis of the district and kind of a 5-year forecast update. When we look at these variances that it's showing and it's saying whether it's favorable or unfavorable to the district, we're talking about very, very small sums. In a lot of cases, it's the greatest variance is 0.5%. So we're really dialing things in. What's happening with the software that we're using is it's predicting and using analytics from the last 7 years of each month to guess what the income will be, but it's also getting the actual income, and that's leading to these variances. So if you look at the current monthly cash flow estimates in the gray right there where it talks about 21,124,881, that's just showing what the estimates are expected to be in terms of our cash balance at the end of this year. In the blue off to the right of that, the 308,671 is showing that our cash balance currently is predicted to be slightly above what is forecasted, and this will be updated as we go every month. We go into the next page. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the variances that you'll see here. A lot of this is due to timing. For instance, we would get a receipt in January this year, maybe next year we get it in February. So you're going to see variances due to timing. The largest one is we got our first payment on the Fair School Funding Plan in January, which was larger than our normal payments, but it's going to be kind of shrunken down as we go through the rest of the year. Also, we did not get our tax advance from the county auditor in January, but we do expect to get that in February, which is going to inflate that and make February look like it's way more favorable than January. So we'll catch up. Also, as we go into the next page, we're looking at current year-to-date revenue collections. It's showing that we're up $287,000. So even with that lacking county auditor advance of our property taxes, we're still higher than we were last year. And you can see off to the right what's actual in the blue. If you go down just a little bit, in the blue, you can see what's actual versus what is remaining in the orange, which is right on track with what we would expect at this time. The next pages, or the next page, you'll notice at the very bottom talks about us being compared to last year at the same period. Our total expenditures are 1.1 million lower. That is actually due to our use of ESSER funds to lower the salaries and benefits this year, and we're going to continue to see that next year, and then we'll see those salaries and benefits come back into the general fund in fiscal year 24. That's pretty much all I have. I did want to say with the cash balance that I showed you in the first page, that's going to lead to our investment strategy and making sure that we have enough funding liquid to be able to cover our expenses and pay our bills.
Any questions or comments to Mr. Espy in regards to the financial report?
I just like the report. It's very visual. I appreciate it.
Yep. I'd also like to point out that our online, our Ohio checkbook online is now active, so you can get on and actually look through every one of those transactions too. In addition to the check report that you have for the month of January, you can look at any check that is cut from the district.
Anything else? Hearing none, may I have a roll call?
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is the recognition of citizens, staff, and students. So I believe Ms. Korn, can you come up here? And Mr. Lewis is going to say a bunch of nice things about you.
Okay, the Miamisburg January District Student of the Month is Lilith Korn. She was nominated by Bear Elementary School teacher Courtney Christie. She said, "This student is a remarkable role model for our school. She is always respectful to her peers and teachers. She treats everyone with kindness and compassion. Whenever she sees someone who needs assistance, she's always there to help out with a smile on her face. I have heard many times in the classroom and on the playground." I'm sorry. I have heard many times in the classroom and on the playground, Lilith invite friends to play with her or join her in an activity. If someone is sad, she's always there to cheer them up. The young lady is also an amazing problem solver. She uses her creativity and grit to handle any obstacle that comes her way. I am so proud of her for all the hard work she does every day she comes to school. Thank you for being awesome and keep putting your best paws forward. Lilith Korn, Miamisburg January District Student of the Month.
Medallion for you, and we want to congratulate you. Who did you bring? Who were your special guests this evening?
My mom, my dad, my sister, and my baby.
Well, thank you for coming. So, is Spider-Man your favorite Marvel movie? Did you like the last Spider-Man? Did you get to see it? The newest movie that came out? Was it Return Home? Oh, it's a good one. So you'll have to stop by and see Mrs. Rupert, and you can tell me if you like it or not. How's that sound? Do you like any other superheroes? Iron Man. Well, congratulations. Here. You want to get a picture with mom and dad and sisters? We'll take a picture. Okay, come on up. Come on up. Congratulations.
Hey, Dad.
Awesome.
Next, within the same theme, I am going to, yes? Okay. Next on the agenda is the Kinder Elementary School presentation.
Guys. All right, I'm going to surprise you all by keeping my remarks very short, which never happens. But we were given the edict to dream big. And so Jessley and I talked about dreaming big and changing our antiquated technology into a STEAM program. And tonight I'm bringing you some of the results and some of my amazing scientists that take part in my STEAM program. And I'm going to let them steal the spotlight.
Good evening. We're here tonight to share with you our new science lab. The Kinder STEAM Lab is a teamwork environment that students grades K to 5 visit once a week to explore their creativity and collaboration skills using problem-based learning. We've worked to transition our traditional technology special to this new innovative STEAM lab. And, excuse me. In our district logo, we use the words educate, innovate, collaborate, and inspire. In our STEAM lab, we are educating to prepare our students for the future through everyday life skills. We're innovating with hands-on learning through the engineering design process.
We are collaborating in teams to solve common goals and improve when we fail. And we're inspiring each other, and more importantly ourselves, to be a better person every day. So why STEAM? Well, did you know that STEM-related occupations are projected to grow more than 3 times the amount of all other occupations over the next decade? And that there are 3.5 million STEM jobs that need to be filled by 2025. Some of the jobs in the STEM fields are bringing home salaries of nearly double the occupation, which, as we know, as a treasurer, is good for the outlook of our Miamisburg community. Mrs. Huber and I brought some very special junior professors here behind me. I proudly introduce to you Kenley, Riley, and Jeffrey. These are our 4th grade team members from Mr. Hobbs, Mrs. Eckhart, and Mrs. Vollmer's classes.
Welcome, board members, to our Traveling Imagination Station. We would like to lead you through a quick STEAM activity to best show you what is happening at Kinder this year. This is a teamwork challenge where you will be competing against each other in 2 teams. It's called Stack the Cup Challenge. It's called
So we're going to have you work in teams to stack cups into a pyramid shape. You're going to have 3 cups on the bottom, 2 in the middle, and 1 on top. And you can only touch the string with your hands. Yes, we're putting you all to work. I can all see you laughing at us. We're going to put you to work. You can only touch the string with your hand. You can't use any other body parts because we've had some creative kids this week trying to use other body parts. And even if the cups fall, you got to figure out how to pick them up as a team. So Kinley is going to help me here. And Mr. Hellman and Mr. Espy, you're going to have to join one of our teams. Each of you join one. That was my mistake on the team. Your teams are on your bag, so your names are already there.
Your teams are listed on the back. Please find your team,
Mr. Deffler's supposed
and
to come over
the
here.
challenge starts now.
Mr.
All right, so you're going to take out all the materials, lay your cups in a stack, and you're going to use your string to figure out as a team
Are we supposed to have 5 cups?
how to solve the problem. Yes.
3, 2,
Are you missing one?
First problem.
That's okay.
Solved.
3, 2, 1. That's 6.
I think 4 is plenty.
Oh, no, I brought extra. I'm prepared. I even brought extra string in case we break. I got you.
Good luck.
So we can't touch the rubber band?
Okay, you guys need to stand up.
Rubber band.
So we need to stand
Okay,
up.
so this,
Okay.
Oh, I see.
oh, this is cool.
All right, are you the team leader?
Very
Who's talking?
cool.
Jeffrey, watch and make sure they're not cheating here.
Hey.
Okay.
We
Wow.
wouldn't.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, true.
Are we timed?
Okay.
No, you're just trying to beat this other team.
Oh, it is a race?
Oh, I see.
We would
Oh, yeah.
put it there, right? Because we have to stack them.
Okay.
Let's put it all together.
Push it a little bit.
We need a coach.
Yeah. Oh, they won't. Yeah, okay. Uh-oh.
Hold on, we better get it that way.
Yeah, right.
And we gotta stack this one?
This is going to sting.
Nope.
Over.
What do you want to do here?
I know, but I
Two,
don't wanna get,
three.
okay.
This is like Jenga.
Back here, guys.
Two.
Fine.
Oh.
We're ready for the next challenge.
Yeah, next time we're gonna do
We're
another level.
overachievers. Can we have another cup so we finish it off?
They have an extra cup.
You don't have all.
Oh, they do. Oh, there you go. You're not done. Oh, shoot. This is where it gets hard.
What are we gonna do here? I think the rubber band right there.
Get yours over here.
You can't put it over the end.
Touch it.
Oh, Jeffrey's coming around. He's not playing now. We have a winner!
Thank you.
Great. That was fun. Thank you.
That was awesome.
Very cool.
Okay.
Oh, no, we're not finished. We still
When I
gotta do
think
one
really
more.
hard, I do that.
No, we're finishing this.
It's a function of my
But that's
brain.
great,
My brain
right?
working my
They didn't give up.
They're like, oh no, this is not
Oh.
We didn't give up, and you know what?
2, 3.
Where was that?
Thank
Six.
you. This was so fun. Thank you so much for sharing this.
How exciting.
You got Tim upset, that's why I messed up.
I think everybody knows you knocked that over, Dale. First one to blame others.
I think I got a little sweaty on that one.
If it makes you feel better, I will.
Team.
No, we like it.
They didn't get.
So fun. Thank you.
That was fun.
Part of the strategy.
Group participation, I love it.
I'll email them to you.
And just before we let you leave, we hope you had fun.
Oh,
But we do have a small surprise and delight on behalf of our Kinder Knights.
This year, teachers have been inspired with the leadership of Dr. Blessing and our principals to have Blue Lobster thinking. This is an approach that promotes creative thinking in an innovative way to solve problems. Did you know that scientists predict that there is one blue lobster found in every 2 million in the ocean? We are very excited to have a blue lobster with us tonight. Mrs. Huber.
I didn't write that part.
Oh.
Oh, thank you guys.
We thank you, Mrs. Huber, for inspiring us to learn and grow at Kinder. Whatever it takes.
And now we really are done.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful.
You guys have little gifts to take home from us.
Oh,
So you can open a flavor.
Thank you.
Their names are on them.
What time and day each week is your STEM, STEAM lab? What day do you guys go to STEAM lab?
I go usually at
Wednesday, Thursday? What time?
She's
Oh,
down.
Mrs. Neese.
Thank you, dear.
Mrs. Neese is right down there.
Thank you. I love the
Mr.
presentation.
Mr.
Daffler.
Amsler.
Down there,
He's in
right
the
there.
green
Welcome to
shirt.
Mr. Daffler, he's all the way on the end. There you go, thank you much.
Those ones are old guys. Well, I know you get mixed up.
What are you looking for, Mr. Lewis?
Can we peek? No peeking?
Yeah.
Very well done.
Do we get any Disney
Sweet. Oh,
Oh, let me get out of the way.
my grandson.
I think I left my other charger now.
I put it down to yours and I put it on your desk.
Okay. I was carrying it in my backpack.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very nice job.
Oh, I love it. Best board meeting ever.
I wouldn't want to be the last elementary school that goes.
Man.
Well, I'm a little worried about our high school students. I don't know. Hope they have a goodie for us or something. Man.
They're like,
It's a blue lobster cookie.
This, before you get ready to go here, this is our high school student government update. So with that, I'll let you guys take it from there.
Hello, we are the student body representatives for Miamisburg High School Student Government. My name is Hannah Eversole. I'm the student body secretary.
And I'm Aaron Gillespie. I'm the student body president.
And I'm Luke Gillespie, and I'm the student body vice president.
We're just going to give you guys an update of some of the things that have been going on in our school year from the last time we were here back in September. So going all the way back to October, the success of our homecoming actually was a huge success. We sold over the amount of printed tickets, so it was a good success even with all of the crazy changes that we had to deal with, having to plan for it being outside, then last minute changing it to inside. So I think we really dealt with all of the problems that we were faced with in a really great way, and it was a great event for our students, our student government, and just everyone in the high school.
And then the next month in November, we had our blood drive, which is our second big event of the year after homecoming. So we do it every year with Unity in the community. We do it with West Carrollton High School, and this year was our year to present the check. So we were able to donate $1,000 to Care House, which we donate all of our money to at the West Carrollton basketball game. So this year, just a few numbers for you. We had 124 total donors, which was a 39% increase from the year before. We had 101 successful donations, which was a 65% increase from the year before. And we had 89 first-time donors, which was an 89% increase from the year before. So we were really able to grow this, especially getting out of some of the more COVID restrictions. We were able to really grow this event and make it bigger, and hopefully it gets bigger next year too.
And then also in December, we had our holiday project where we give presents to kids in the community who may not be able to have presents for Christmas. And so we ran 8 days of a donation-style fundraiser at the high school, and we raised over $2,000. And then afterwards, we were able to have some of the members from student government and from NHS go buy gifts from Target and go deliver them to the houses so that all of the kids in Miamisburg who may not have opportunities for as many gifts so that they could have a happy Christmas.
We are looking to have a 5K within the next couple months for child abuse awareness and to just bring awareness to that. And so our student government was able to take a field trip to the Care House of Dayton, which is a child advocacy center in Dayton, Ohio for our Montgomery County, which focuses on mental health and medical services, forensic investigation, and advocacy for its victims. So we were able to show our students what our cause will be for our upcoming 5K, and I'll let Aaron talk a little more about that and what's going on with that.
Yeah, so that kind of takes us up to what we're doing now. And so our big event for March is the Taking Strides for Prevention 5K race, which will be here at Miamisburg. So that'll be on March 19th at 10 a.m. at the high school, and the race will be run in the surrounding neighborhoods. So this morning, we were actually at the merchants meeting. We were able to present there too, looking for donations. And we're looking for donations because our goal is to raise $5,000 for this event, because we're going to donate 80% of our money to Care House, which, as Hannah said, we have been to, and that's where we donate a lot of our money to. And the other 20% goes to Strides for Prevention America, which is a child abuse advocacy group, but it's more of a nationwide program. So for the race, it's a $25 entry fee for the race, and it is a $20 for ghost runners, which is just someone who wants to support but maybe doesn't feel like running. And there's also a student discount for our students at the high school and throughout the entire district also. Again, our goal is to raise $500K, but obviously we want more than that. 5,000, not $500K, that's a little ambitious. We think this is going to be just a really excellent opportunity for our community. We used to do this race back in, I think the last year was 2014, and we're just excited to get it going again.
I'm challenging all of you to join me on Saturday in the race.
I'll be running.
What's the date?
Mr. Lewis?
March 19th.
Why are you looking at me?
Mr. Lewis? March 18th?
19th.
So looking past, even farther past that, our next big event for more of our students in high school is our prom, which is pretty exciting. Our senior body, not just us, our senior student government members are our prom committee, and we're beginning to plan that. So fingers crossed that it can be as normal as possible, but I think because we dealt with the changes so well with homecoming, that we'll be able to face whatever challenges come our way, just with the unknown of COVID and how the year's been going. But hopefully it'll be all good. So prom will be on April 22nd, and we're super excited to get that going.
And then looking for some of our other clubs, we're looking forward to doing our spring service project for National Honor Society, which will be at the LLS fundraiser again for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, which we did last year, and we were really successful with it. So we're hoping that we can raise as much money to help out those that are suffering from cancer. As we know, we have a student at Bauer who is suffering with leukemia. And then also with Sizer, we'll be planning our yearly STEM carnival, like the kids at Kinder, so that we can hopefully share STEM and STEAM with all the kids at the elementary schools.
Yeah, so that's what we're looking for towards the end of the year, and we're doing really well at the high school with our student government, and we are really hoping to have a great end to our school year. Thank you guys for letting us speak.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions about anything?
Yeah, I wanted to know, how do you make the donations to Care House?
Oh, so all of our donations for the 5K, all of the money that we raise through the 5K will go to Care House. I believe if you want to donate to Care House like as an individual, you could probably go to their website and ask about that.
Okay, so they're coming through us, and then we're donating 80% to Care House, 20% to.
I think if you go to the registration for the 5K run and walk, you can just make a donation there. I'm pretty sure it's one of the choices.
Yeah, so that's we do have, that's what we said, the Ghost Runners. I'm not sure if I touched on that or not, but it's $20, and it's just saying you want to donate for our cause, but maybe you don't want to run.
Well, you're too old to run.
You want to support something.
Your back hurts.
That's for everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm talking about Mrs. Toadvine, okay, not me.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, kids. Appreciate it.
Good report.
Next on the agenda is board discussion in regards to Mr. Espy's treasurer update.
Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of touch on some of the items that we talked about on Tuesday. It's an abbreviated presentation on what I talked about Tuesday, and also some additional information. So, first of all, when we look through the abbreviated forecast here, you can see that every year after this fiscal year, we're projected to have more expenses than revenue. And that leads to, you can see in fiscal year 26 that I put the box around, that's where we are projected to go cash negative. So ending the year in the 25-26 school year with negative cash. There are various amount of things that go into this. The one thing I'd like to point out is if you look at the expenditure line and you kind of follow it from fiscal year 23 to 24, there's quite a big jump that's primarily salaries and benefits that were allocated to the ESSER funds that we received that would then be coming back into the general fund. I also just wanted to point out that it's not simply about just this snapshot, and I'll get into cash flow later, but it's very important that we have adequate cash flow, and that goes back to our investment policy of making sure that we have enough cash on hand to meet our debts. This is another way to look at it too. You can see that the green line that kind of dwindles off there is the cash balance. And as the orange, which are our expenses, and the revenues, as the orange goes up and the blue, which are our revenues, go down, that's primarily because we are expecting a decrease in enrollment, and that's a pretty conservative estimate considering we do have 3 new subdivisions that are being built currently in the district. But until we start to see that enrollment, I don't want to show it. And we haven't started to see that uptick in enrollment. Also, it's very easy to look at the forecast and to think that we're spending less money. And really, that's not the case. If you look at this, those colors, those additional colors that are added to the bar chart that's showing the money last fiscal year that we spent that was from ESSER-related funds or the coronavirus relief fund. So we actually spent more than fiscal year 20 in fiscal year 21, and we're going to see a lot more color once we close fiscal year 22. This is the actual outlook of of the district if we continue on the same path we are right now with the base forecast. And what this shows is when you go into that orange column, that's kind of the third color up, that's fiscal caution. The pink is fiscal warning, and the red is fiscal emergency. And so what this is projecting is that with no additional income, but with levy renewals, we would be in fiscal emergency by fiscal year 25, something that we obviously want to avoid. So I wanted to break down cost per pupil here. So with the new Fair School Funding Plan, what it does is it breaks down and it creates a base cost. And that base cost is actually defined right here. It's using a methodology, and it's different for every school district. It uses student and teacher ratios, minimum staffing levels, and actual costs. So when we go back and we look, the column off to the left, which is like pink and blue, that is the base cost. And so the blue line that goes across the columns is showing how the base cost is somewhat going up. The tan column is actually what we're spending per student. So in fiscal year 22, we're spending about $11,361, and then what we're actually getting from the state is the green. And so the difference between the tan and the green is what the local taxpayers have to make up. And you might look at this and go, wow, like we're spending more per pupil than we should. But when you look at our top 5 districts, and what I mean by that is Ohio Department of Education takes our 5 top districts, as well as it goes up to 10 actually, and we can compare our data. This is done through the CUP report, and you'll notice that I've highlighted Miamisburg. We're below average when we look at those 5 most like districts that ODE says we are like. So then I wanted to take a little bit further. The top 10, we're still below average with our per pupil spending. And then if you take it to the county, we're in the bottom 4 of per pupil expenditures and well below the average. So if we were to look at the logic that we might be overspending, then a lot of school districts are overspending. And I think that that's probably not necessarily the case. Also, I wanted to point this out. I think this is a very interesting graphic. This is our 10 closely related districts that ODE tells us. We have the largest student disability percentage. We're over 18%. So that's another thing that is packed into that per pupil expenditure that I think needs to be taken into account. When we look at property tax revenue, it's by far the lion's share of what makes up our revenue as a school district, and you can see that it's projected to go up just a little bit through 2023. That's because the district's on a 20 mil floor, and we get that additional revenue from new builds, new construction. I wanted to put that into context here. If you look at this, the blue is the property tax revenue, and then the green is the state aid that we get through bi-monthly payments. So clearly, if you look at this graph, it's very easy to see that property tax revenue really is the largest part of our income as a school district. So it's very important, I mentioned that we would be in fiscal emergency by fiscal year 25 if we stayed on the same route that we are right here. It's really important to think strategically and look at our renewal levies first and tackle those first, while also looking for efficiencies. And Dr. Blessing and Mr. Homan and the whole cabinet has really started to talk about where we can continue to identify efficiencies without impacting programs. So this is all leading to a probable combined renewal of both the substitute and the emergency levy in November of 2022. Something to keep in mind here is that we're going through a bond refinancing, and it's going to end up being somewhere between $1.5 and $2 million that's going to be spread out through 2036. So as taxpayers start to see this savings, there could be actually a potential to have a reduction in what they're paying while also renewing these levies. It would likely be a small reduction, but it would be seen more so on the bond side than on the levy side. Just something to keep in mind.
If I can point out something too.
Yes.
From a realtor standpoint of view too, the recent appraisals that we've had from the county, almost everybody's appraisals went up, values have went up. So what we've accomplished with the refunding will help make up for the difference in what their taxes, how much their taxes may go up to. It'll help some.
Yes. Yeah, and then also what comes into play too is the speed at which one property may go up versus the speed that another one might, or the uptick in that percentage can also play into account there. So getting into the snapshot mentality versus cash flow. So this is the initial graphic that I first showed you. So it's not just about that ending balance that I've kind of shown there and highlighted. It's about what our cash balance is, and it's really kind of hard to see this, but really what you need to know is that December of 2024, January of 2025 could be the first months that we would really have some issues keeping up with our bills and payroll and benefits. So that's obviously something that we don't want to be in, and that's if we were to stay on the same track that the base forecast shows. And keeping in mind, if you go back to that monthly report that I showed you, we're within 0.5% of actual right now. So it's really dialed in. And my philosophy is if we get that base forecast this fiscal year right on the money, it makes the accuracy of the forecast beyond that very, very close too. So to kind of end my presentation here, this shows the orange shows the forecast that was filed for the district in May of 2021, and the darker line actually shows the forecast that I filed in November. And there's a difference there as we see the uptick, and that's primarily due to ESSER funding being able to save the general fund and push that ledge off a little bit. But I wanted to also illustrate the fact that the Montgomery County districts we're not an outlier. If you look at where we fall with the arrow, there are several districts that are going into caution or watch or emergency. The lowest being Northmont City Schools. They're at the very bottom, Dayton City Schools. So there's not one district, I believe, that isn't at least in caution on the November filing forecast. So I think that that's a really interesting graphic to see that we're not the only ones in this predicament. And that's all I have. So any questions?
I think it's pretty clear that there's going to be almost every school in the county is going to be looking for some money they want to maintain the level of education that we're providing now.
Yeah, and we've talked about, it's not just seeking additional funding. It's going to have to be finding new ways to be even more efficient, and doing so in the least painful way as possible.
Both those things at the same time will help.
Yeah. So sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that's just where we are.
Reality.
Yes.
Anything else? Hearing none, we shall move forward to the approval, adoption, and revision of board policy. A is approval to waive the first reading of board policy. It is recommended that the Board of Education waive the first reading of the following board policy, which is purchasing procedures. May I have a motion?
I move for the recommendation that the waive the first reading of the board policy.
Motion by Mr. Toadvine,
I second it.
seconded by Mrs. Neese.
I can take this.
Okay.
So, with some of the purchases that we've done with ESSER funding, it's just really important that we have the word consortium in this policy. We've talked to legal counsel. They don't necessarily feel that it's required. However, ODE is telling us that it's required. So we're going to put the word consortium into the policy we already had and move on if that's okay.
Yep. Any questions? Hearing none, may I have a roll call?
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes.
B is the approval, adoption, and revision of board policy. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following board policy, which is the purchasing procedures. May I have a motion?
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the following board policy.
We have a motion by Mr. Daffler, and I will second. I'll be your second.
Got
Again, probably hearing no questions, may I just have a roll call?
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is consent agenda. A is the approval of overnight extended student trips. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the overnight extended trips. First one is the Miamisburg World Color Guard in Indianapolis. B is the approval of out-of-state travel. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the out-of-state travel, which would be the same as the Miamisburg World Guard Color Guard, and that is in Indianapolis. C is the approval of tuition-free senior enrollment. It is recommended by the superintendent and high school principal, Mr. Michael Black, that the Board of Education approve Savannah Ray Campbell and Trey Nichols Hood for tuition-free enrollment for their senior year. This permission is only granted to a 12th grade student who previously attended the Miamisburg High School as a resident pupil during their 11th grade school year. D is the approval of class of 2022 early graduates. Michael Black, principal of Miamisburg High School, has recommended Avery Bowling and Kylie Terry for early graduation pending satisfactory completion of all state and local requirements. E is approval of board member trainings. In accordance with the board policy BHBA, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following requests for training as offered by the Montgomery County Educational Service Center. February 25th, Ohio School Boards Association School Finance 101. And this is for Mr. Daffler. F, authorization for the 2022-23 membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Whereas Miamisburg City School District, District number 44396, 540 Park Avenue, Montgomery County, Ohio, has satisfied all the requirements for membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association, a voluntary unincorporated for nonprofit, and whereas the Board of Education Governing Board and its administration desire for the schools with one or more grades at the 7 to 12 grade level under their jurisdiction to be voluntary members of the Ohio High School or OHSAA. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education Governing Board that Miamisburg Middle School and Miamisburg High School do hereby voluntarily renew membership in OHSAA, and that in doing so, the Constitution, bylaws, regulations, business rules of OHSAA are hereby adopted by this board as and for its own minimum requirements as to it pertains to, but not limited to, student eligibility, coaching requirements, and administrative responsibility. Notwithstanding the foregoing, the board reserves the right to raise the minimum standards as it deems appropriate for the schools and students under the jurisdiction, and be it further resolved that the schools under the board of jurisdiction agree to conduct their athletics programs in accordance with the Constitution, bylaws, regulations, business rules, interruptions, and decisions of OHSAA, and cooperate fully and timely with the Executive Director's Office of OHSAA in all matters related to the interscholastic athletic programs of the schools. Furthermore, the schools under this board's jurisdiction shall be the primary enforcers of OHSAA Constitution, bylaws, regulations, business rules, and interruptions and rulings rendered by the Executive Director's Office. The administration heads of these schools understand that failure to discharge the duty of primary enforcement may result in fines, removal of tournaments, suspension from membership, and or such penalties as prescribed by Bylaw 11. G is the appointment of the Board of Designee to the Public Records Training. The board shall appoint John Espy, Treasurer, CFO, and Katie Lucas, Director of Student Services, as an alternate to attend public records training required for board members by applicable law, namely the revised code 109.43. H, adoption of revised 2022 through 2027 strategic plan. It is recommended that the Board of Education adopt the revised 2022 to 2027 strategic plan. I, finally, is approval of consent items that we've just read, A, alpha through H, hotel. May I have a motion?
Move for the approval of consent items A through H.
Motion by Mr. Lewis, and a second.
I second.
Who was that? Mr. Daffler. Corey? Mr. Daffler seconded.
Mr. President, I missed a couple of items there. Would you read those again for me, please?
I would be more than happy to later. But as we go through these, I'm sure that everything will be explained. So if we go back to A, this isn't anything that's any different than anything else that they go to, correct, Mr. Homan?
No. These are the normal winter guard competitions they have.
Correct. B is the out-of-state travel for the same concept. Tuition free, that is nothing changed than normal for those personnel that is going to graduate early. Board trainings. This is for Mr. Daffler. And then the long but good one, in the membership of the Ohio High School Athletics Association.
Steve, on that item that he's speaking of there about the Athletic Association, I know we in the past have had higher standards for our athletes than what the Ohio recommendations were. Is that still true, or?
Yeah, they have a student code of conduct. You at least have to meet the minimum standards that they have, but we do hold the athletes to a higher standard.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments in regards to those particular items and consent agenda?
Did you want to talk about the strategic plan?
Sure.
Yeah.
Kelly, you want to, I think we attached it, right? Yeah. Well, we have been working on the strategic plan since March. So we came together with the district leadership team, some board members. Dale and Ann were part of our initial meetings, as well as our MCTA representation and our Teamsters. And in the spring, we developed a plan, we continue to use our vision and mission statement that we have, but also looked at the areas of need. We ask each building to do some homework and department to do some homework and come up with some action plans. And so on the board agenda this evening, we have kind of the overview of the plan in terms of our belief statements that we created, and then kind of an overview of our current goals. So we have 5 areas that we're working on. Of course, finance and facilities, student ownership, teaching and learning, collaboration, communication, and decision-making, and sense of belonging, safety and sense of belonging. So those are our focus areas. And then within each of those focus areas, we developed kind of our vision statements. And so for this year, teaching and learning will be working on the vision of a Viking. So what we envision and what each kindergartner, no matter what school they attend, what it will be some of their learning outcomes. And we're hoping to incorporate some community service, some speaking and listening skills, obviously our academic skills, as well as some technology goals, as we witnessed tonight with Kinder. And then student ownership, we're kind of working on maybe choose your own adventure, like a passion project or genius hour. So those are kind of some things that they're going to be meeting and working on. For the collaboration, communication, and decision making, we are working on how to better our communication, not only for our staff and for our parents. So we're looking at current communication trees or communication, I guess maybe directories. So like even looking at our phones, and when you call the school, what your greetings may say, and how parents can get to certain departments or folks. So we'll be working on that over the summer. We're also looking at a new one-call system, so hoping to find something that's more app-based, but also still do the voice calls, the emails, but also have maybe a news feed along with it, and incorporate that into possibly a new website. So those are some key things there. Safety and sense of belonging. We've been using our Panorama survey. We've been surveying our students now for a few years at the elementary. Our middle school and high school started using those surveys last spring. We're also using them now. We recently surveyed our staff and our teachers, and we're also going to be surveying our community soon, just to get kind of a baseline of how everyone is feeling in terms of culture, climate, and sense of belonging. And then I will let Mr. Holman talk about finance, and even Mr. Espy talk about their facilities, finance and facilities part of strategic plan.
So John and I are tag teaming this one as we look at our PI funds that are out there, and really putting together a solid 5-year capital improvement plan across the district. So when we began this adventure in the fall, we've made some headway here. We're still waiting to get some more information in, but we are looking at anything from having a more updated bus replacement plan. We're actually working with OSBA, in which our mechanics have done a really good job of evaluating every single one of our buses in the fleet. And so we're working with OSBA in terms of all the criteria they have for each of our buses. And what they do is they actually have a database on their end where they can look at certain model years of buses, knowing that they've had certain issues with certain buses over the way, and that has a certain formula that plays into should that be put ahead or behind other buses for replacements. Another thing that we applied for was the bus replacement plan grant, and we did receive $180,000. So that pays for like 50% of 4 buses. So, and that's in addition to our other 2 special needs buses that we did out of ESSER funds. So we'll have a total coming in. So out of the 4 grants, we're gonna have 1 more special needs bus. So we'll have a total of 3 new special needs buses, and then we will have 3 72 passenger buses coming in. So those will be put in part of the rotation plan. So we're very excited to look at that. And then in addition, we've met with Weibel on a couple occasions, and they have put together a 5 and a 10-year plan as we've looked at all of our mechanical systems within the district. Things that we need to look at that's on the horizon, things that need attention to within a couple years, things that need immediate attention, things that, hey, you might need to put a little bit away each year, just knowing at some point this is going to happen. That'll be need replacement. So, as you know, Weibel's been a very good partner with us through the years, and we have a lot of good data from there to build within that. We're also working with Maxim Roofing. They've just finished up, and we should actually have their plans next week of the assessment of all of our roofs in the district to plug into the 5-year capital plan. Overall, most of our roofs are in really good shape. But as you know, with the building projects we did, a lot of those building projects all occurred at the same time. So we're going to start looking at ways of kind of, putting some funds away, knowing that a lot of them might have to be replaced around the same time. So that's going to be part of the plan. And then the one of the other big areas is the paving within the district. And so Ed has kind of taken the lead on that, working with our contractors in terms of how that paving will look. For example, we're looking at Medlarview. Medlarview is, 20 years old, and that's still the original pavement out there. So there are some things that we've got to kind of put things in order and priority, but, at the end of the day, you only have so much money to do that with. So it's a matter of taking a look at all these categories here and being able to stay on top of that. So we have some very good contractors that we work with. And so we will continue to do that and update them, but you'll have a nice presentation coming up of a real solid 5-year capital plan and beyond of this is what we're looking at, this is what we're looking for in terms of we go that. And then really as a board, there'll be some decisions that we'll have to talk through together about what priorities you'd like to see, in terms of what Laura talked about in terms of the strategic plan and the mission and vision. And so that's going to be a key part as well. But at least we're going to have some nuts and bolts to know, okay, X, Y, and Z's got to be done by this year. So we've got to kind of move some money away. So just some other things, as we talk about that strategic plan, Laura talked about safety and security and those types of things. And so one of the things Laura and John have been very instrumental in as we've been looking for is we did apply for a safety grant, $100,000 safety grant in which we can improve some of the security in all of our classrooms in the district. They'll have the same type of locking mechanisms in case of an emergency type thing. So we are very anxiously awaiting to see if we get that grant approved, and then that will be done this summer if that happens. And so then I think there's also another BWC grant out there we're looking at for additional safety and security items with our key card systems and magnetic door locks within our building. And so, and a lot of that's come through as we do our safety drills. We debrief after each one of our safety drills that we're required by law to do in each of the buildings. And a lot of those good ideas have come through those safety drills and plans of how we can improve and equal out the safety in all of our buildings.
Steve, I'd like to commend you guys for all the hard work that you put into the grants that's saving our district, our community. Lots of money, from the Chromebooks all the way down to the things that you just explained, and I just think it's fabulous that we have people in the central office and the teachers also that are out there applying for grants and getting things that we need through grants. And the other thing I'd like to say is just so that people can remember the new buildings, having the new buildings actually saving us money now as far as heating and cooling them and things like that because of them being the newer buildings. And I just want to throw that out to the people that are listening that thanks. It's really neat that the kids have the updated stuff and that we're saving money by doing that. Mr. Isaacovich there and we can remember all the, and well, you too, Steve, all the hard work and everything that was put into all that stuff. So, thanks a lot.
one of the things with the HVACs, and I know Core recognized the importance of it, is that all of our buildings run programs and alarms and all those things. So if something would happen to go down in the middle of the night or something like that, they are immediately alerted of what will happen. And kind of remember the whole Mark Twain thing a couple years ago when the boiler went down and all that, and it was a weekend project. That was all started. Had we had not gotten an alarm in the wee hours of the morning, it wouldn't have been until Monday morning when our maintenance custodian went in there, and it would have not been pretty. So it's, like I said, those are all important things as we advance the safety and security and using our PI dollars to the best possible way. And it's really the preventative maintenance. It's not waiting until it goes out, but let's look at those preventative maintenance plans that really saves us money in the long run. So,
Thank you.
Steve, the plan on the PI and all the facilities and stuff, our plan is to talk about that in the work session in April. Think we'd be able to hear moving
April,
into the summer months?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Yep. And we'll also have a list of all the things that we've been doing kind of behind the scenes since last summer of, did you know we've done X, Y, and Z through ever, and those types of things. So.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
I just wanted to ask Dr. Blessing, with the community survey, does that go beyond the parents?
We would have to ask the safety and sense of belonging team if they're planning to send it to just parents or community members. But we can find out that update and get that to you next month.
Thank you.
And all of our current committee members are on the third page of the strategic plan, which Brenda will upload to the website tomorrow. So if there's any community members or staff out there that are interested in any of the 5 areas, please reach out to me and I will put you to work. So, but we appreciate everyone's efforts so far. And this evening's presentation from Kinder was definitely a result of our Blue Lobster thinking and our strategic planning. And so it's so great to see it in action.
And Chris, one other thing, when we talk about the capital improvement plans and the PI funds, we are very grateful for the community, to having those continuous levies that are out there for the PI funds. There's 2 continuous ones, and that's how we are very, very much in debt and gratitude to be able to keep the maintenance, upkeep, all those different areas that we just talked about. Had we not had the very generous support of our community to make those continuing, we'd have a lot more levels out, or levy cycles out there. So I just want to thank the community for that, for us being able to maintain our buildings and all those things. So.
Mr. Espy, may I have a roll call?
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is the Human Resources agenda items. A is the approval of personnel reports certificated and classified. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following personnel reports. Employment in the Miamisburg City School District is contingent upon the candidate submitting to and passing a BCII and FBI criminal record check in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code and pre-employment drug screening in accordance with the adopted board policies. B is the approval of personnel reports supplemental, stipend, certificated, and classified. It is recommended that Board of Education approve the following personnel report supplemental, stipend, certificated, and classified. Employment, again, in the Miamisburg City School District is contingent upon the candidate submitting to and passing a BCII FBI criminal record check in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code, pre-employment drug screening in accordance with the adopted board policies. C is the approval of items A and B. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve of Human Resources items A alpha through B Bravo. May I have a motion for those 2 items?
I move for the approval of the human resources items A and B.
Motion by Mr. Toadvine,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Lewis. Mr. Homan.
The reports that are attached on this board agenda are business as normal. There's nothing different than what we would do each month on these.
Correct. Any questions or comments in regards to those two items? Hearing none, may I have a roll call?
Mr. Amsler,
Yes?
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is agreements and contracts. A is the approval agreement between Cincinnati Bell and Miamisburg City Schools. The superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approve a 36-month agreement between Cincinnati Bell and Miamisburg City Schools. B is the approval of memorandum of understanding with the University of Dayton. It is recommended by the Superintendent and Director of Human Resources that the Board of Education approve the memorandum of understanding with the University of Dayton for the purposes of providing student teaching and other field-based experiences for teacher education students. C is approval agreement between Broad Voice and Miamisburg City Schools. The superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approve a 36-month agreement between Broad Voice and Miamisburg City Schools with a savings of $1,293.55 per month. This contract is effective August 13th, 2022 through August 12th, 2025. D is the approval agreement with Rumpke Waste and Recycling Services. The superintendent and treasurer CFO recommend approval of the attached agreement with Rumpke Waste and Recycling Services. E is approval of agreement with I Am Boundless Incorporated. The superintendent and treasurer CFO recommend approval with the attached agreement with I Am Boundless Incorporated. This contract is effective February 15th, 2022 through June 2nd, 2022. F is approval with agreements with items A Alpha through E Echo. May I have a motion for those items, please?
I move to approve the agreements and contract items A through E.
Motion by Mrs. Neese,
Second.
second by Mr. Toadvine. And we go back to A, Cincinnati Bell and Miamisburg City Schools.
I'm just going to kind of go all the way through the list since I think this is really my area.
Expertise.
So I'm just going to go one through the other, and then we can see if there are questions as we go through. So the first agreement, Cincinnati Bell, we actually have three real live telephone lines in the district still, and those are for the three elevators that we have throughout the district. You have to have real telephone lines. You can't use voice over IP or cell phones for any of those. We also use a third party to go out and do bids for us, and going through the bids, we were able to do another 3-year contract with Cincinnati Bell, and by renewing it a little bit early, we are able to keep it the same price as we have now for the next 3 years. So I was very pleased, and I said, sure, can you send that to me so we can get it approved right away? So we're very pleased with that. The approval with the University of Dayton, this is standard as we do every year for student teachers, field experience teachers, all that. We just need to make sure liability is covered both through us and the University of Dayton. The Broad Voice, remember a couple years ago we did the switch over to voice over IP in the district with all the phones in the classrooms, the fax lines or the voice over IP, all of that. So we do get a monthly fee for that. Working through the vendor and kind of going out and getting some shopping and quotes. Broad Voice was able to stay with us with actually a reduction of about $1,293 a month. So that's a nice little chunk of savings over a 3-year contract. So we asked them how long would they give us, and they would give us 3 to get us locked in. So it's always nice to save a little bit of cash. So I always remind Mr. Espy of that if I have to come ask for something, you know. Rumpke Waste and Recycling. If you remember last year, we had done a new 3-year agreement with Waste Management. And so, kind of working through Waste Management through some things. Some of their policies within their company changed. And some of those policies we felt were not very beneficial to the tax-paying dollars of our citizens. And so by the time you kind of take a look at how some of they would charge for overages, how they would charge for certain things, we were actually paying more in overages and extra fees for things that we've never had with them over the years. And it's just the way that their company's operating now. More things are automated on their trucks and things like that. And they work well with us to let us get out of the contract with them. And then Rumpke is going to work with us to make the change. So really, Rumpke right now has the majority of all the schools in the area as well. And as you're aware, they service the city of Miamisburg as well. So they were able to partner with us to get us some good rates. And then also too, as part of their contract, they'll provide for us at least a free roll off each year for summer projects, which will be very handy this year as we do the projector replacement project at the high school, Mark Twain, and Mound, and all of that. So that will be very good. And then plus we will get a discounted rate for additional roll-offs that we need. And that's a pretty nice part of the contract. When think of how many whiteboards that we have in the district and things that have to get replaced, those are going to fill up pretty quick. So, Rumpke.
I am boundless.
And I am boundless. I do believe that it is tuition for a special education that we need to provide services for. Any questions on any of those goodies?
Nope. I just had to smile because I just came back from the Waste Management golf outing, but that's why when I said Rumpke, I was like, I just came back from it. So, can I have a roll call?
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes.
Next is financial agenda items. A is the acceptance of fiscal year 2021 Auditors report. It is recommended by the superintendent and treasurer that the Board of Education accept the fiscal year 2021 Auditors report. This single audit report covers the period of July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. A copy of the full report is available in the treasurer's office. B is the authorization for amendment to the appropriations and certificate of estimated resources. It is recommended by the treasurer, CFO, and the appropriations and certificate of estimated resources be amended as listed in the attached reports. C is the approval of then and now invoices. The treasurer, CFO, recommends that the Board of Education approve the then and now invoices are present. D is approval of transfers, EMIS fiscal year 2022. The treasurer, CFO, recommends the Board of Education approve the following transfers. The transfer is for additional funds for professional development and millage purposes. All transfers are made in accordance with the Ohio Violation Code 5705.14. E is optional 5-year forecast update. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the optional updated filing of the district's 5-year forecast and assumptions are as presented. F is the approval of financial items A through E. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the financial items A alpha through E echo. May I have a motion for that?
I'll move for the approval of financial items A through E.
Motion by Mr. Lewis,
Second.
second by Mr. Toadvine. Mr. Espy.
So the acceptance of the official fiscal year 21 auditors report, it was a clean audit. We did not receive any verbal or written guidelines of any deficiencies with our reporting, which is very good. So I just would like to recognize the hard work of Tina Hagman and the Treasurer's Office staff for that accomplishment. B is the typical amendment of appropriations and estimated resources to for any changing revenue that we expect to come in or expenditures. C is the approval of then and now invoices. We did have one invoice for fuel that was about 7 days before the PO, and if you look at the total PO, it's not the total of the PO, but it's $22,000, and we do need to get your approval to be able to pay that bill. Letter D is the approval for transfer to EMIS fund. So basically, all of the EMIS related expenses are housed in the 432 fund, so we can keep track of how much money we spend on tracking data and sending it to the state of Ohio. So we're essentially just asking for a transfer from the general fund to the 432 fund to make sure we keep all those expenditures and revenues in the same fund. Letter E is an optional 5-year forecast update. You don't typically approve something like this in February. The reason for this is Laura, Dr. Blessing, and I sat through a bond rating on Tuesday. And through that bond rating with our bond counsel and municipal advisors, they suggested that we update it with any updates that happen from November to now. So that's why we're bringing you that. It is more advantageous to the district if you look at the November to now, just because we're planning to stretch the ESSER funds longer in salaries and benefits. And that was the major update that's in there. And those are all of the items.
Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I thought you were going to go through the optional 5-year forecast again.
I can if you'd like.
We're good.
Good, yeah.
Just joking.
It's the same thing that
I'll
I
wait until
presented
you do
earlier,
what
so
you just
that's
went
yeah. So.
Mr. Espy, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler.
Yes. Next on the agenda is acceptance of donations. It is recommended that the Board of Education accept the following list of donations. All monies will be used through each school's 018 account unless indicated otherwise. $500 from Anonymous to Bear Elementary School for any student needs. $100 from Kathleen and James Casper to Mark Twain Elementary School for student book fair purchases. $100 from Miss Mary K. Milan to Mark Twain Elementary School for student book fair purchases. $4,800 from the Miamisburg High School Band Boosters for Winds Ensemble staff stipend. The following donations were made to the Miamisburg City School for the Campus Quest project. $250 from Myra Downing and Doug Simply and family. $186.48 from Thomas Lee, and $250 from Donald and Sandy Shade. Second payment towards a pledge of $1,000. May I have a motion for the acceptance of donations?
Go ahead. Corey.
I move for the acceptance of donations.
Motion by Mr. Daffler,
Second.
second by Mr. Lewis. And we appreciate all those donations, no matter whether they're in the schools or for the Campus Quest project. So, very much appreciated. Thank you very much. May I have a roll call for that, please?
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler.
Yes. Next on the agenda is the Miami Valley Career Technology Center news and updates with Mr. Joe Isaacovich. Welcome back. Glad to see you're here and with a smile on your face.
Yes, good evening. Yeah, life is much simpler when you only have one arm. I looked in the mirror this morning, and I don't know about this. The picture popped into my head was Ernest Hemingway on his boat, so I don't know if I'm going to keep the beard or not. But in any event, thank you. Yeah, we're mending well. And CTC news tonight, we had our big MVCTC 50th anniversary celebration and open house on February 6th. It was very well attended. We figure over 700 people. Thanks to Dr. Blessing for attending. Bumped into her as she was going on tour. It was a great event and showed off what has been completed so far. And the end of 23, when we have our completion, we'll have a ribbon cutting ceremony, and all of you will be invited to attend. Applications for the class of 2024 keep rolling in. As of today, we have received 1,322, and compared to this time last year, we had 1,058. So we have seen an increase right now of 264. And the way we're going to be maxing out even with the new addition. So it's interesting. March 20th, I invite everyone to our National Technical Honor Society induction. That's on Sunday the 20th from 2 to 4 p.m. 167 students will be inducted into the society, 9 of which are from the Berg. We have Silas Adams, who is in our HIVAC program. We have Brennan Bell, who is in automotive technology. Shamia Davis, pre-nursing. Sarah Freemate Santiago, architectural design. Trenton Gonzalez, architectural design. Anthony Jones, graphic commercial art. Dakota King, pre-nursing. Joseph Lipscomb, aviation maintenance. And Hannah Reddick in cosmetology. So we're quite proud of our 9 that will be recognized. Also, the health and consumer science students were recognized. Pre-nursing students received certification. Cheyenne Lawhorn from Miamisburg, along with Kayla Mills. These are pre-nursing juniors that have tested and are now state-tested nursing assistants, which is great. Also, the following pre-nursing junior passed their nurse aid certification. That's Abigail Barlow. Moving on, the Business Professionals of America, BPA students participated in the Region 3 Open Event Contest, and Malena Suther with computer coding and web applications. She's a junior from the Berg, placed second in the Computer Programming Concepts BPA Regional Open Event Contest. And finally, right off the wire today, graphic commercial arts seniors Miles Arthur and Anthony Jones, both of Miamisburg, placed in the Southwest Regional Skills USA Advertising Design Competition. Miles placed first, Anthony third, and both will advance to the Ohio Skills USA competition in Columbus this May. So things rolling along very well out at CTC. We're doing well. We were happy to see that after our 4-day virtual event at the beginning of February, that allowed us to get back to about a 94% attendance rate. So that worked well for us also. Any questions or comments?
I think the enrollment thing is great.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
to be going through a construction process like we are, I think our students are taking a look at the future and really giving us some, consideration. So that's a good thing.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Next is our legislative liaison, Mr. Corey Daffler.
House Bill 126 did not get voted on earlier in the month. We as a board sent a letter with our concerns with that. It is in committee in the Ways and Means Committee for a hearing on February 23rd. So hopefully that doesn't come out to get voted on. The State Board of Education met to discuss some rule changes for the report cards. They're going from a lettering grading system to a star system, revising the cut score, and lots of other items. Seems like this is the more I'm learning, ongoing and probably very challenging for school systems. So it would. And then Governor DeWine signed House Bill 93. This bill revises address confidentiality programs, makes changes to county records fees, also moves congressional candidate filing deadlines, along with a host of other items. That is what I have for this week. Any questions?
No. Thanks, Corey. Next is our Student Achievement Liaison, Mr. Tim Lewis.
Well, earlier this evening, we honored Lilith Korn from Bear School as our January District Student of the Month. Other building Student of the Month representatives include from Bauer Elementary School, Anna Prim, Jane Chance Elementary School, Kaveen Mutha Kumar, Kinder Elementary School, Ivy Hollingsworth, Mark Twain Elementary School, Amelia Huey, Medlerview, Kendall Criswell, Mound, Sydney Trupp, Miamisburg Middle School, Adeline Humfleet, and Miamisburg High School, Dylan Lafayette. That's all I have.
Thanks, Mr. Lewis.
You're welcome.
Next is our Montgomery County Drug-Free Coalition Liaison, Mr. Dale Toadvine.
Well, there's really not much this month as far as meeting or anything yet. There will be a meeting in March and possibly a special meeting later on in this month. Do you have anything in for that?
No, I did see in the paper, though, that the overdoses have gone down this month, which was good news. Yeah.
Yep. That's it.
Thank you. Next is our district news and information. Miamisburg High School art teacher Megan Newton is the 2022 recipient of the Dayton Art Institute's Pamela P. Hawk Award for Excellence in Art Education. In a press release, the Dayton Art Institute curator of Dayton, Casey Goldman, stated, "We were inspired to learn about Megan's deep commitment to teaching the arts by inspiring student choice and discovery. She has been recognized for her work implementing the learner-centered TAB method, coaching pre-service teachers at the University of Dayton, demonstrating leadership at the district level and activity contributing to the education field." On February 1st, Tim Burrows made Miamisburg High School bowling history by bowling a perfect 300 game in a match against Beaver Creek. Miamisburg's bowling previous high game was 298 bowled by Mr. Sam Fisher in 2015. On February 2nd, Anna Long broke the girls basketball school record to become Miamisburg High School's all-time leading scorer. Anna passed Erica Allensbaugh, who held the record at 1,234 4 points. Anna currently has 1,305 points. The Lady Vikings won their first game of the tournament against Troy Tuesday night. Good luck to the rest of the season to the Lady Vikings. Signing day saw 7 Miamisburg High School athletics commit to further their academic and athletic careers at the next level. Austin Ambergy, Marietta College, NCAA Division III for baseball. Sam Boardwine, University of Charleston, NCAA Division II baseball. Kenyon Evans, Flight Academy football. Abigail Kaiholt, Fairmont State University Division II in softball. Mason McElroy, Walsh University Division II baseball. Darius Williams, Siena Heights University NAIA football. And Blaine Wine, University of Findlay Division II baseball. The Lady Viking wrestlers completed in the Southwest Ohio District Tournament this past Sunday. The Vikings qualified 2 to the state tournament. Cassia Zambit recorded 3 straight pins, winning a district title. Simon Morton wrestled a tough tournament, flighting her way to 3rd place finish, and Aubrey Garrison finished the tournament in 5th place, which makes her a state alternate. The state tournament happens this weekend in Hilliard. Congratulations, ladies. Next is board education and staff comments. We will start with Mr. Daffler.
Just want to say the kinder presentation was awesome. Glad our team could come off with the victory there. And it's good to hear what the student government at the high school is doing. That's very nice and awesome. And I think the Ohio checkbook is a very good thing that we are offering, and I encourage citizens to look at it to see how fiscally responsible we're being, and if they have any questions, it's a good place to check. So it's a great thing that we're doing. That's all I got.
Mr. Toadvine.
Just like to just thank everybody for working so hard on the grants and everything that we talked about earlier, and just making Miamisburg schools a great place to raise your kids. Done.
Mr. Lewis.
Wanted to wish all of our athletic teams good luck going into the, I guess it depends upon the sport now, whether it's the sectional or the district tournaments, wrapping up their seasons. And I wanted to say thank you to our treasurer, Mr. Espy, for doing an excellent job of making our finances so much easier to understand. I know you went out of your way for that, and it's appreciated. Thank you.
Ms. Neese.
Just wanted to congratulate the Hall of Fame inductees. Also to congratulate the cast of Robin Hood. It was a very fun and well done play. And the director is one of our high school teachers, Lauren Bukowski. And once again, that was one of those Blue Lobster activities, because we've never done a play in the winter, correct? So she announced that at the beginning of the play, so that was cool. And just to continue to thank our certified and classified staff and our administration for staying the course during COVID. You're doing a great job. I know you're tired, but you know, we do what we have to do, and we appreciate you.
Anything else?
Nope.
I think I've talked enough, opened my mouth enough. I
second
was
that
just going
motion.
to concur with Mr. Daffler at the beginning by the kinder presentation by Mrs. Huber. Very good. Thank you. And the student body, that was interesting. And the excitement that you could tell in their face and their eyes, and looking forward to the prom and things that they've done. The blood drive is a very good thing for a number of good reasons. So, and then I also wanted to point out, Tracy, you'll always be a lemons to me. I know you're married. But for you to come, I've been here 8+ years now, and for you to come as many times as you has come here, I can count on one hand how many times that you have missed over the years. Thank you for coming to our board meetings. I know that the principals, we have 3 here tonight, were given the opportunity to skip a few of these meetings. You continue to come, and I wanted to acknowledge that I do appreciate it. So with that, I will move on to Mr. Espy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, it's been a great team effort lately. I've been communicating a lot of tough information. It's not my favorite part of the job, but it's the reality of where we are. But I will say that we've had very collaborative conversations about how we can be efficient, and we've just worked together as a team, and I think that that's really, really important. Some good news that I wanted to share was on Friday, end of the day, phone rings, weird number, answered it, and I found out that I was nominated to the OASBO Foundation Board, which is the State of Ohio Association for Treasurers and Business officials. So there's typically 8 to 10 treasurers or business managers on that. So if that happens, it'd be an honor to represent Miamisburg on that board. So also tomorrow we're wrapping up the final meeting of a committee that I'm on for OASBO that's actually recommending to the state our treasurer and business manager licensure requirements and continuing efforts of things that we get evaluated on. So that's going to be a good thing to have that kind of input with ODE. But I want to echo the presentation tonight was awesome. It's awesome to see kids be empowered and making decisions for themselves and developing like that. It's pretty cool.
Well, I wanted to kind of refresh the community that we had our first work session of this calendar year on Tuesday night. Thank you, Mr. Lewis and Mrs. Lewis, for the lovely dinner. We'll have to see who's doing that in April. But just so the community knows, if they see special board meetings or work sessions, we are doing 6 work sessions this calendar year. So, of course, they'll be in February, which we just had, April, June, August, October, and December. I don't think I missed any. So we will be just discussing various topics instead of doing one, maybe summer retreat or work session. So if you see those, obviously they're open to the public, and we're just having some discussions about topics such as finance, which we did this past week. And as Chris alluded to, some 5-year planning to be shared in April, as well as progress on our strategic plan and any other topics we will be working through. So I just wanted everyone to know to be looking for those in the upcoming months on our future agenda items. As Ann mentioned, COVID numbers have gone down. As our educators in the room can we all take a little nicer breath, right, as we have gotten through the last couple weeks. So we appreciate everyone's understanding and patience, and that has given us a reprieve to just have our normal school business, which is kind of nice. So we're hoping that continues. Just a reminder to our families out there listening, preschool and kindergarten registration are coming up. So we're looking forward to meeting our future Vikings in the fall. So check out the website. We have information on the upcoming registration for preschool and kindergarten. And so we are working with Preschool Promise this year, and we're hoping to expand our preschool. So if you are interested in some preschool programming, please check that out, because there are some additional opportunities. We're still working out all the details, and I'm sure that once, maybe next month, Mrs. Dobson can do a presentation and share that a little bit more with us. But I think if they go to the registration site, they can look for those opportunities. I don't want to spill all the details because I'm not sure of them all.
Yeah.
So look on our website for that. And just want to plug the 5K Strides for for Prevention, excuse me. And the students mentioned they were looking like for monetary sponsors, but if there's folks that want to give donations for gift cards or raffle prizes, they are doing that as well. They spoke with the MMA this morning, and they did ask the local businesses. So anyone who is listening and would be interested in helping them out, that would be great. And I just appreciate what all of our staff and the support of our board. Next month we'll be into March, the final quarter of our school year. So it's exciting. Looking forward to spring. Mr. Hillman.
All right. Well, I will ditto everything that everyone has said here. And then just with our first real snow and ice and slush and sleet and whatever you want to call it, our employees did a great job. Our grounds and maintenance crew did a really good job really getting through that ice and all of that. So we want to give kudos to them. They our maintenance guys are out there at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning doing that, and they're kind of like the unsung heroes. Are out there plowing the lots and salting and all that, and so we're just gonna give them a shout out. We have 4 grounds and maintenance crews guys, and then Rich and Ed, our supervisors, and then at the building level, our maintenance custodians come in early, and they get the sidewalks and all those clean too. So they're kind of like the unsung heroes on those days that it just doesn't happen when people get there, but they do a great job. So I want to recognize our classified staff for that. So thank you.
Hopefully we won't need them in the morning.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's icy.
No green sheets this evening, so there will be no public comments, and we will move on to adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Motion by Mrs. Neese at 7:46.
I second.
Seconded by Mr. Daffler. And roll call.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine.
Yes.